Hey, welcome to the channel. So here we are, NX500, 8000k impressions, a review of sorts. So first thing, build quality on this particular bike has been a substandard Honda, so I'm giving it 6 out of 10. I've got a video up of 7000k review that goes into detail, but I'm just trying to keep this concise, sort of bullet point form. Because otherwise go up on the tangents all the time. Yeah, so 6 out of 10. Overall reliability, typical Honda. It hasn't left me stranded. I've been in some pretty fierce storms, all sorts of sealed road riding conditions. The bike feels pretty solid, overall dependable. Just had been three sort of minor but disappointing build quality issues that up to the 1,000 kilometre mark. I'm one at the 1,000k mark. I replaced the fork seal at 1,000k's and I just integrated rider peg partial weldage they didn't replace. They just sit still on the bike, and the bolt that was coming out of a chain guard, which was apparently caused the weld to disintegrate, won't go there. So just to say, 6 out of 10. So ergonomically, for a shorter rider, I'm 173 centimeters tall, 28-inch legs, so on the short side as far as legs and overall height. I've got, I guess, shortish arms, bit of a horror movie character, and I guess you're probably on the stocky side. So yeah, it fits me well. So 8 out of 10 for ergonomics. If you're just doing this sort of riding, you can reach the levers pretty well. You will have to, if you're wearing Tech 7 boots, you just have to adjust your gear lever. It's very easy, 2 10mm bolts. There's YouTube videos. If you just type in, NX500, CV500X adjustment, gear lever, it takes literally a minute, 2 minutes, if that. But if you want to be, if you want to take your time and try different positions out, but I've got Tech 7 boots out and I can change pretty good now, with still a little, but these are very, even though I got the Enduro version and I put leather softener and WD-40 on, they're still firm soles, compared to a road boot, so, but I just like the feel of having more protection. You never know when you have to dab a foot, especially when you're on a dirt road. It's a difference, dabbing your foot just behind you, between not sliding out, and keeping your bike upright. So that's why we wear boots, because if you try that with road boots, you could break your leg, just even a small rock or something. With these boots on, you sort of got a bit of insurance against that. Yeah, so ergonomically, we've got to give it 8 out of 10. Power-wise, well, you know what you're getting into. You're getting a 500cc parallel twin, 47 horsepower, 43 newton meters of torque. It's not going to be a rocket ship, is it? But is it slow? I mean, is it like, well, you're twisting the throttle all the time to get more power? I'd say no. Look at these roads, Now, I'm riding to the conditions, I've had a goat pull out in front of me, literally a goat. This roads generally have kangaroos on wallabies at certain times of the day. You always have people cutting over double yellow lines. You have trees falling down. You can have landslides. You can have potholes appear overnight. You're going to have cars just pull out, caravans pull out and conceal driveways. So it's not the sort of road to be thinking, oh well, I'm going to buy myself a Ninja, a Ninja Z1000 or 900, and I'm going to be, practice my race track skills on this road. You might get away with it short term, but generally the conditions, wildlife, or the police will put an end to that. So, and the thing is, if this is a bike just to enjoy the scenery, appreciate the road conditions, appreciate that you're on a motorbike, and it doesn't put any pressure on you to pretend that you're a race bike rider, It's not straining at the leash or feeling dull. When you get a quick bike, even and you know the power's on tap, and you sort of ride into the speed limit and the conditions, and it always feels as though it's a dull, the bike's dull because it brightens up when you twist the throttle and you get into the higher RPM. Now, some bikes could live in the torque range, and it can be a pleasure to ride at any speed, and I'd say this NX500 is one of those bikes too. It hasn't got it hasn't got any large amount of torque, 43 newton meters of torque of 196 kilo weight. But what it does, it's deceptive, Like, I'm in fourth gear, poodling, I just twist the throttle, I'm going, I'm moving. It's very tractable engine for a 500cc bike, It's a pleasure. I mean, I can just poodle here third gear. I'm obviously just having my clutch covered just in case. Get down to, let's say I can get down to 30 k's, Alright, it's a bit downhill, but we're downhill, but just sort of it should still pull away, on a bit of a flat here, 34k, it's a slight uphill just there. It'll do everything, and you can flick it through the twisties, And look at that view on the right, and you can just go da 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 da, and look at that view and just take in the view, and it's a light bike, It doesn't pull at your arms. It's not pulling to one side like the Transalp tended to do on low speed corners. Just a bit of torque. I don't know if it was the torque of a 21-inch front wheel. Just something with a Transalp on certain low speed corner situations. It's just that 20, something about it. I always felt as though it was on the left hand side, up the front axle. It just felt as though it was overloaded somehow. But we can only say what we experienced, and I'm not saying it was a deal breaker. I bought a second Transalp, so if it was a deal breaker, I wouldn't have bought the second Transalp. If the Transalp was a great bike, 92 horsepower, went out of sight, But it's a different feel, but it's described as a mini Transalp. I think it's a lazy way of describing it, but I guess it has some validity. I would say it's just a little, for a shorter rider, it's definitely a little bit more manageable and so more fun, That's my impressions. 8,000 Ks, and when I first got on the bike in the showroom, I just said, no, this bike's balanced, because I'd ordered a CF Random Rally. I decided to get rid of a Transalp for various reasons. And I thought I'll do more off-road, but as soon as I hopped on this bike, I went nervous and just looked at the reality, where would I be riding. It was no use getting a dual sport to go 300 Ks to somewhere that's challenging, 200 Ks or 150, and you're riding these roads and you're just not enjoying it, The Rally would be a good bike for these roads, but not as good as this, It's not as good as this. But not terrible. If this is 8 out of 10 for off-road, for back road riding like this, the Rally would have to be 7A. But this sort of tight, variable road quality, And this is nice and smooth here, but we've got a few damp patches there. It's known to have diesel along this road for some reason. I've seen diesel and there's gravel just there, shitty wavy gravel corner, So So anybody that's sort of tossing up between this and the rally, because it can attract a similar buyers, especially people are looking behind the reliability, maybe just thinking, well, I'm just going to do the back roads, but I like the idea of being able to shoot off into a fire trail. If it's a registered road, because remember the insurance can come into question unless you've got off-road coverage. I've talked on a previous video just before this one why the Honda NX500 makes more sense than a dual sport. But if you're a person that knows they're going to go on more off-roadish conditions more often than not, well, a rally, not wrong with a rally, maybe not. It's got a lot of sag, it's soft suspension, we all know, it's been mentioned, commented, reviewed so many times. If you're a smaller rider, you won't, a lighter rider, you won't get as much seat sag, but it'll be a high bike. The 25 model, the new rally is a taller seat height than even a 23, because they've reduced the seat sag, so the spring's a bit tighter, so you'd have to get the dealer to really soften the preload, and that's going to make it mushy on the road. It's always a compromise. So the NX500 ergonomically is an 8 out of 10 for smaller riders. Anybody under 105, 76 centimetres, and I know there's people over 6 foot ride these bikes, so I'm not trying to, but I think I would be interested if a person over 6 foot with longer, with maybe 32 inch legs, 34 inch legs, even 31 inch, gets any knee pain on an NX500, if you bought one, because if you're only buying a bike to go in a half an hour commuting and maybe an hour, 2 hour ride on the weekend, you might not even notice today. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're into long rides, going for long rides, you want a bike where you're not going to get knee pain to spoil your ride, because sometimes we get in the flow and we just keep riding, and this does 500 k's to a tank, let's say, to be safe 450, but you'll get, I think pretty well close to that 500. You get in the flow and you're on these roads, and you want to, and all of a sudden you're getting further and further. You might be doing a loop back to your home, and like a horseshoe loop, but you're getting further and further away from home. It's getting, you want to be able to say, oh, well, I want to keep going, I feel good. Or you might want to go on you might want to stay in a motel or somewhere and extend your ride. Well, you don't want to be nursing an old sports injury, or an old bike injury, just because your knees are bent just too tight, because these have got high pegs, and they're you haven't got that much room. It's a shorter, but overall, I think this is built for the Asian market, And I was looking for a bike, it's somebody that's shrinking. I know it sounds a little bit, but yeah, shrinking, literally shrinking. Once you get over 55 and towards, closer to 60, even 31, you should start shrinking, at a rapid rate. So, you might be once 5'8", and you're going to be 5'6", and shorter legs, So, yeah, that's why I was so glad to get us. It's not just for seat height, because a narrow seat, because 834 mils is still reasonably high. It's a narrow seat, narrow perch, so you can get your legs straight up and down. It's not just that, it's not just the weight. It's been 12 kilos lighter than trans. It's the ergonomics. It's more compact for a shorter person, a smaller statured person. Wow, so look at that. A lime green, pea green, Harley, yeah, that's nice. You don't see too many of that colour. Alright. So that bull over there did a 20,000k review of a Honda Transalp over there 18 months ago on my first Transalp. So you want to check it out on the playlist.